I will now go and say the brain is what controls the signals. So I will now show you how the brain of the cell works, because it's the same mechanism that the human brain uses to control our own life. So where is the brain? What controls the cell? Brain. Where is the brain? They know.
Yeah, they read your book.
The membrane. Now you might say, I said before that you and the cell are the same. So you might say, am I saying that your skin is the brain? Yes.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. In embryology, the sperm and the egg come together to make a zygote. And then the cell divides and makes a ball of cells called the blastula. And then the cells form three concentric layers. The outer layer is called ectoderm, the middle one is called mesoderm, and the inner one is endoderm. Each layer gives rise to specific tissues and organs. The ectoderm gives rise to two things. The outer layer, ectoderm, forms skin and the central nervous system. So like the cell, your skin is the brain. Well, I will show you now how it works. Inside the cell are the protein pathways. And the outside of the cell is the skin or the membrane. The signal comes from the environment and goes through the membrane to go to the gears. So the membrane controls if the signal comes in. Okay? The signal comes from the environment. The protein creates the behavior. And the membrane is a switch. Okay. This is like the other slide. Signal plus protein. Do they know what goes over here? Behavior. Now, I'm going to show the signal comes from the environment and hits the switch. Then the switch sends a signal into the cell to the protein to make behavior. So the switch controls the signal coming in. There are over 100,000 switches on the cell at any time, but all switches are about the same. It does two things. One, it reads the primary signal, and then the switch 2 sends a secondary signal into the protein. So there are two parts to the switch. In the skin are receptor proteins. And receptor means receiver. Okay. Do you have receptors?
Habt ihr
in your body? Name the big ones.
The eyes.
No.
Nose. Ears. Mouth.
Okay. What's the point? All of your receptors are built into the skin. And these receptors read the signals from the environment. So it's just the same as a cell. This is a simple, like eye or ear or nose. The receptor has an antenna, responds to the vibration signals from the environment. What happens when a signal binds to a protein? What happens to the protein? The protein moves. So there's two states to a protein. Before the signal and after the signals, two different shapes. When the signal is active, it connects this one to this protein, to this protein. And this protein, the effector, makes an effect. And it sends a signal into the cell to control the proteins. So the primary signal is picked up by the receptor. Then the receptor connects to the processor protein. And then the processor connects to the effector protein. And that sends a secondary signal to the protein pathway. Okay, now I will show you a video of how it works. This is the receptor with an antenna. This is the processor. Look at the shape and look at the shape. They don't connect. Signal comes, changes the shape. This hooks to this one. This one sends the signal into the cell. When the signal goes away, the shape goes back and the switch is broken. This does not fit. But now the primary signal changes the shape, and then this changes shape and sends a signal in. And this signal controls the function, a specific function inside the cell. So this is how a switch works. Okay. In the new biology, they talk about this is the cell membrane, and the signals come from the environment, binds a receptor, and then the effector sends signals in to control proteins. And at the end, you get behavior. So signal causes behavior. These pathways, there's a new field of science, and it's called signal transduction. And there are thousands of these different pathways. Okay. The name of the protein in science talk is complicated. It's called a receptor effector integral membrane protein complex. But I will show you there was a name for this switch for over 1,000 years. And I'll use the definition, and then I'll show you the word. The function of the receptor is awareness of the environment. Like eyes, ears, nose, gives you awareness of what's going on. The function of the effector is to send a physical signal into the cell. Or I'll call it a physical sensation. So the definition of the switch is awareness of the environment through a physical sensation. Now in the dictionary is the word perception. And the definition of perception, awareness of the elements of environment through physical sensation. What is the name of the switch that controls your biology? Perception. And why that's important is that it's you and how you see the world that controls the biology. So conclusion number one, perception controls behavior. And what causes behavior? Yes. Oh,
yeah,
the physical part. The protein. So the signal, the switch, controls the protein, which is the behavior. Okay. Now, we did not talk about DNA. When you need a protein in the cell and it's not there, then you need the blueprint, which is the gene. So how does it work? I get very excited because I'm going to show you how a gene works. But before I do that, I want you to know that we have been given misinformation. When people say a gene turned on and a gene turned off, it sounds like the genes make decisions. Here is the simple truth. A gene is a blueprint. So if you go to an architect office and he's working on a blueprint and you lean over his shoulder and you say, is your blueprint on or off? And he goes, that doesn't make any sense. A blueprint cannot be on or off. It's a blueprint. A gene cannot be on or off. It's a blueprint. The truth is, are you reading the blueprint? Or are you not reading the blueprint? And the gene does not make that decision. So this is how it works. In the nucleus of the cell are chromosomes. The chromosomes are units of heredity. And the chromosomes are made out of 50% DNA and 50% protein. What does the protein do? And the answer is, for 50 years, we did the experiments. We isolate the DNA and throw away the protein. And some people a few years ago said 50% is a lot of protein to throw away. What is it doing? And the answer to this question will change civilization. And I'll tell you why. And the answer is Because when you understand how the protein works, you understand that you control the genes do not control you. A chromosome is a DNA core with a protein sleeve. Pretend my arm, my bare arm, is DNA. And I write with a magic marker a genetic code for blue eyes. And I say, can you read the gene for blue eyes? But I say, what does it look like inside the cell? Can you read the gene for blue eyes? If you want to read the gene, what do you have to do first? Take the sleeve off? What's the sleeve made out of? And what causes a protein to change shape? The signal. Okay, so this new science is called epigenetic control. Before in school we teach genetic control, which simply means control by genes. Epi means above, like epidermis. Okay, so epigenetic control says control above the genes. Now I will show a video how it works. Very simple. Okay, the chromosome is DNA core with protein sleeve. At the beginning of each gene is a protein called a regulatory protein. The signal binds to a specific protein. The protein sleeve comes off, and then the DNA is exposed. Then a device will come up and make a copy of the gene, and this is the blueprint used to make the protein, RNA. And the signal comes off, and the gene is covered up again. Okay, now watch with fast. Signal from the environment selects the specific gene, sleeve comes off, the RNA, you make a copy, DNA, RNA, and goes to make protein. And then the sleeve comes back on. Now this time, let's see what the DNA did. Come on, DNA, do something. Come on, do something. Do something. Nothing. The gene does no control. The gene is never on or off. The gene is read or not read. And what do you think controls the signal? Perception. Okay? Now, so this is the same kind of signal transduction. And so the receptors are the input from the environment. Then the signal travels through the proteins. It goes to the nucleus and affects the proteins of the chromosome. And then the copy of the gene is made, and that's the output. You are not the victim of your genes because you control your genes. One gene blueprint using epigenetic control can make 30,000 different proteins from one blueprint. So you can come with good genes, and then through epigenetic control create cancer, diabetes, and it has nothing to do with the genes, but epigenetic control. So you can come with good genes and make mutant products, or you can come with a mutant gene and become normal. I'll show you. This mouse is a mutant mouse, a goody mutant. Blonde, fat, and diabetic. This is a normal-looking mouse. It's a normal-looking mouse because it's a goody mutant. The difference, when this was in gestation, in fetal development, the mother was fed these additives, and these affected the epigenetic control and covered up the mutant. So you can have mutant genes, but with epigenetic control, you can act and become normal.